Boom shakalaka, the counterintuitive Bitcoin chart that's got me shaking, plus why Ethereum is due for a massive rally, and exactly when Bitcoin hits $1 million per coin. Stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, a lot of very interesting charts. The counterintuitive Bitcoin chart that's got me, pretty interested. Why Ethereum is due for a massive rally. And exactly when Bitcoin hits $1 million, inquiring minds want to know. Before we get into it, like the video, join us on Twitter at the Crypto Love. And of course, subscribe to the OG Bitcoin and Crypto channel. Also, today's video is sponsored by Ola Prime. So click the link in the description to check them out. Now, fear and greed today at 54 neutral, out of greed. Back into neutral once again. Seems like we can't stay in greed long enough. Haven't been in fear for a while, but can't stay in greed long enough. The overall market up 1% today. Bitcoin at 105,865, Ethereum at 2550, and XRP at 216. Now Bitcoin hovering right now, right around this nice volume profile blip, right around the crossing of the 21 EMA and also the 50-day moving average. Now, the last time that these crossed negative, well, Bitcoin went sideways and up for a little bit and then also went down for a little bit. So it's kind of anyone's guess whether Bitcoin is going up or going down. But you can see this big inverse head and shoulders here, this green one. Should Bitcoin break $115,000, would be headed towards roughly $160,000 based on that chart right there. And not only that, but also Bitcoin is having a big bounce on the daily candles. We have this wedge right here bouncing once again on the bottom, coiling up in that wedge. And generally with those wedges, it's a 50-50 shot. Breakout up, breakout down. Who knows? But remind me, are we in a bull market? Yeah, I would think so. Based on this, the bullish scenario would be $119,000, whereas the bearish scenario would be $93,800. So we'll kind of have to see which direction it goes in the upcoming days. But this whale right here is definitely betting on price going up. A whale just opened a $241 million Bitcoin long position with 20x leverage. Based on my math, that would mean they'd put like $20 million, right? No, $10 million? Wow, they could lose $10 million if price goes down. That would kind of suck. But hey, I guess worse things happen in Bitcoin and crypto. Based on the M2 money supply and Bitcoin following it, it would appear like price would continue to go up as they are printing money, as the money printer is going burr. Well, Bitcoin price should go up accordingly based on this $150,000, $160,000, which coincidentally is the head and shoulders target right here. Now, interesting chart right here. This one is counterintuitive. So if you're just a normo-intuitive person, you might want to listen up because this is a pretty cool thing. So new money is drying up in Bitcoin. You're like, oh no, that's bad. If money's not coming into Bitcoin, how's the price going to go up? How's it going to be $1 million? How am I going to buy my Lambos and whatever watches and whatever other silly things people buy with their money? Well, turns out right now, short-term holders hold 4.5 million Bitcoin, down 0.8 million or 800,000 since May 27th. Demand momentum sinks negative 2 million Bitcoin, the worst on record. Ugh, that sounds terrible, right? You're looking at this chart, it's in the red, that's terrible. But let's take a look at other times when the demand was this low. Well, it spiked this low back in like September, October of 2024. And what happened then? Look at that, price shot up. But that's just one. So let's go take a look at another time when it was that bad. This was sometime around June, July of 2021. Look at that, absolute bottom before price spiked up. Could we be in for another price spike? It turns out almost every time these red bottoms occur, that is a price bottom as demand dries up. Guys, over and over again, people love to sell the bottom and buy the top. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody I know who's been in Bitcoin a while is just kind of like, I'm kind of tired of it going sideways forever. It's never going to get higher than $100,000. I'm going to sell now. And then in 2 weeks, it's like $250,000. I would not be surprised if that happened. So that being said, we have yet to have the real retail FOMO that has caused these bubbles previously. You can see these nice parabolic rises due to retail FOMO. Everyone and their brother and mother and sister and father and hairstylist and taxi driver and everybody else getting into Bitcoin because it's going to $1 million. Well, right now, we just kind of have this institutional structured bid just going up slowly. They're just buying it Monday through Friday, taking off the weekend right now, taking off the summer, selling may go away. And it's just continuing to climb upwards as the supply of Bitcoin is dropping. Once retail FOMO comes, then things are going to go kind of crazy. Based on the NUPL, the net unrealized profit and loss by cohort, you can see we don't have any of these top areas yet. Previous top areas, you can see this orange area on the NUPL. We had a tick there and a tick there, but have not had really anything yet suggesting a top, meaning that the Bitcoin fun has just begun, and it's likely to go on a lot longer. Right now, Bitcoin price is very close to entering overbought territory. The real fun starts with this. Look at the past. You can see right here that every single time Bitcoin price entered the overbought territory, price went up. I can't read these numbers because they're very small here, but that's a lot of percent that price has gone up. And even recently, when it's entered overbought territory, guess what? Price goes up dramatically. We could be on the verge of that again. Now, for Ethereum holders out there, great news for Ethereum recently. Take a look at this. This Ethereum chart, you can see this blue part right here, echoes almost perfectly what Bitcoin did in 2020. There was an 83% drop, there was a 342% rally, a 63% drop, and then a 1,110% rally. Well, take a look at this. 83% drop for Ethereum, that's the same as Bitcoin. 342% rally for Ethereum, same as Bitcoin. 63% drop for Ethereum, same as Bitcoin. What's next? 1,110% rally. That would put Ethereum roughly $20,000. Bitcoin 11x'd in that rally. That could be an 11x for Ethereum. Maybe out there, but Ethereum has been lagging behind for a long time. And historically, things go Bitcoin, Ethereum, large caps, micro caps. We just kind of got off track with, meme coins and pump.fun earlier this past year, which reminded me of the summer rally of 2019. I'm not sure if anybody else kind of got that feeling from it. But maybe that was just the first rally before things got really, really heated, which would come up maybe end of this year, maybe next year. Who the F knows? But Bitcoin right now is knocking on the door for $1 million. And when it gets there, you're really not going to care whether you bought it at 104,000 or 112,000 or whatever the price is at today. But if you did want to know when would probably be your last opportunity to buy it under $1 million, take a look at this. Bitcoin spends roughly half its time in a bubble and half its time crab crawling. Now, if you separate the two and you fit the lower half of the data to the power law, the correlation is at 99.73%. That's right. It crab walks along this curve right here at 99.73% of the time. Accuracy excluding the bubbles. Therefore, if you completely ignore the bubbles and pretend they'll never exist again, Bitcoin price would still be slated to hit $1 million on December 2034, less than 10 years away. Given that there are bubbles, and given that they're less predictable and more poorly understood, we expect it'll probably hit $1 million sometime before this. 1 million between 2029 and 2034 seems very reasonable, but hey, it could happen anytime soon, because all it takes is a little bubble, a little FOMO, and guess what? The institution's already bought up all the Bitcoin out there, so there's no supply left. Once that happens, price goes through the roof and everything else. So that's all for this episode. If you enjoyed it, check out some of our shorts. Also, like, subscribe, check the description for our sponsor, and I will catch you guys later. Have a good one. Love you. Peace.
Boom. Shakalaka.
If you don't think Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin and then $10 million a coin, you're already a loser.
From now on, if you don't own Bitcoin, you're a moron.